Hello, people of the internet. So we're back. Not sure how these videos are going to get edited up. I had to take a big break waiting on parts because you never know what's going to break when you're taking older stuff apart. And even though I had, I had a pretty good stockpile of stuff, I didn't have all the pieces that broke. So we gotten some stuff done, working on some stuff, getting aggravated at stupid engineers. I'll roll under there in a minute and show you guys. But I'll show you what I got done right now. Flip the camera over. This tow arm was the one that was frozen up, and had to cut the bolt out of it. You can see that bolt was pretty well in there. It won't coming out on its own. But Sawzall with a Diablo blade. Honestly, if you don't have any of these are like extra thick Diablo blades. They're for cutting up to like 1/2 inch steel. Buy some of these. These things are great. Let's see, got new cam bolts, and I remarked that one based off of the marks I put on the old one. That way I can get it reasonably close and then get it down to the alignment shop. Assembled shocks. Ran into a good bit of issue with the bump stops, and I probably should have shown it, but all the bump stops that were readily available, like KYB, Monroe, Moog, stuff like that, they were all universal. And hold on a second. Oh, big bright light. Okay, so they were all universal, and they were obviously not correct. Like, they did not match up at all whatsoever to the old ones. I'm looking in the trash can. I was gonna get. So anyway, ooh, that was bad. Sorry about that, gang. So anyway. Should have taken pictures of everything first. I look it up, and I get the Mopar ones. And you know how expensive the stealership is. So, I look it up for a 2011 WK2, Oh yeah, here you go. Here's the Mopar number, OICU 812, blah, blah, blah. We changed the last digit in the alphabet that it ends with. I think it changed from like a D to an E. That's usually just a revision thing. It's not a big major. So, suck it up, Buttercup. Order the Chrysler parts. So you know how everybody is on the internet. You should have gone to the dealer. So order the Chrysler parts. The Chrysler parts come in. They don't match. Call up the dealer. Hey man, this part number we looked up? Because I looked it up at home. I went into the dealer. Hey, this part number you looked up and verified what I had looked up and showed me. Everybody came to the same conclusion based on the picture, based on your black and white exploded view diagram that you have? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So they come in. Sorry, I'm getting something out of the trash because I had to modify them. So they come in. They're too tall by approximately this much. Yes, I know it's not a straight cut. I did it with a hacksaw on a workbench. I'm looking at them. I didn't break out the dial calipers or anything like that because the guy at the dealership was like, well, this is what it is. And he wasn't some young kid, he was old enough to have some experience. Whether he knew the area, so whether he's good or not, I don't know. I don't care. So we do that. I get back home. Fuck it. I'm just going to modify them. I get back home. Cut this off, which makes them the appropriate height. And just looking at them, they look to be about the right diameter at the bell end, at the big end of the bell, because they're tapered. They and cut that piece off. Go over to the mount, plug them in the mount. They don't fit. They're too loose. So I guess we have floating bump stops on the shock shaft, which is better than no bump stop, which is pretty much what fell off of the vehicle. They were in one piece when I took the old shocks off, okay? The bump stops were in one piece. When I touched them, the foam just started to disintegrate. And everybody knows, everybody's dealt with 10, 12, 15-year-old modern bump stops. They don't last. So they're on. I'm not happy about it, but there's absolutely nothing I can do because the Chrysler specified parts, the stuff that Jeep shows listed in their breakdown and has on, well, they didn't have them on hand, but, has them on file, has them in inventory, all of that kind of stuff. They ain't right. So probably would have been better off not spending you know, damn near $20 a piece on bump stops and just buying the like $8 a piece bump stops and modifying them. That's neither here nor there. Let's get under this wonderful, wonderful piece of work. I think, let's see here. I'm going to pause this and see if I can keep it on pause long enough to crawl my skinny butt under there. And we're back. Okay, that worked. Shaky cam in effect. I'm going to take Sam Raimi's place one day. Can we see? Is there any light? I should have brought a light. Okay, see that bolt? That is a gas tank. That is a lower control arm bolt on the driver's side. That is about 10 to 12 inches worth of space that if they ran the bolt through this direction and just put the nut on that end, I wouldn't have to get under here and cut it out in a few minutes. See, the trick is, kids, you're supposed to take the whole subframe down before you do any work on this piece of shit. And that is annoying and needs to flip and stop. As you can tell, it's very early in the morning and I'm already dropping every... And I'm censoring myself, folks. Really, I am. I've been dropping everything since I got out here, started working on this. So, get the Sawzall back. Maybe get the death wheel out. I don't know. Something quick, fast, in a hurry. Cut that bolt out. Then, since it's just a pinch bolt, it's not a cam bolt, it's not an alignment bolt, I've probably got something I can use. I've got some 12 mil. I'm pretty sure that's what that is 12 mil. If not, I'll go run to the hardware store and see what I can find. Because I'm not ordering any more bolts, and I obviously can't do the job without taking that bolt out. So we'll come back in a little bit. All right, and we're back down at the car. I've got the CV shaft supported by a bungee cord, so you know it's ace. Old ball joint out, new ball joint in. That was really a pain in the butt. So it sits at an angle in this spindle, and I wasn't dealing with the emergency brake cable. Normally I just chock spindles up in a vise and everything works out, but with it wanting to be wibbly wobbly sitting here and then going in at an angle, man, that thing kicked my butt, I will tell you. The unbonded or delaminating brake shoe, completely delaminated. So that's going to be next. I think what I'm going to do, I get the control arm in so I can get the spindle back on and on the CV shaft, and maybe get this link point in over here, as that'll hold everything enough I can start tearing apart the parking brakes and get all that. I did get the broken ABS sensor out, and I need to take my and blow all that stuff out, get everything out from in here. But I think I deserve a break. That right there really did kick my butt. I mean, I know all I got is the basic C-type, you know, ball joint puller, but I've got tons of cups and adapters and doodads and things like that. Always keep bearing races. Bearing races make really good press points or tools or whatever, dies, whatever the hell they're called. But yeah, it really did. It was kicking my butt to no end. That sucked. But it's done. I mean, I still got one more side to go, but it's done. I'll get some of this stuff buttoned up and we'll come back later. All right, and we're done on this side. And if you hear kids screaming in the background, no, we're not torturing anybody. My little helper's got his buddies over, so they're all out having fun. Everything's in except the sway bar. I did not put that in yet because the sway bar is still out. I'm not going to do that until last when I get to the other side. I do still need to put the grease fitting in the ball joint. These new ball joints came greasable, which is nice. And I do have my little spacer right there. So not much lift. You know, again, this is wife's daily driver, but I just kind of had to. It's just me. All new pieces. Some people may say this is overkill for what it was. So the ball joint was meh. It wasn't gone, but it wasn't great. The old toe link had a seize cam alignment bolt in the back of it. This one had a bushing starting to delaminate, the inner core delaminating from the outer rubber body on the cradle side. This one also had a delamination issue on the bushing on the cradle side. And one of the rear control arm bushings was just, it wasn't delaminating, but it had so many cracks in it that it was not long for this world. I did load the suspension and then torque everything except that one right there. I just could not get my torque wrench into it. I tried a couple different torque wrenches and they just didn't clear properly. Maybe if the whole cradle's down, you know, you come straight down from the top, but mine just didn't clear. So I didn't ugga-dug it. I just got it as physically tight as I could. When I take this to go get an alignment on it, I'll let the alignment shop know to just double check all the bolts on there, make sure they're torqued right. The parking brakes on this I found to be not the most difficult set of parking brakes I've ever done, but they were not pleasant either. Not impressed with the manner in which they attach. But so far so good. We've got another side to do. Probably pick up when everything's done. Let me see if I can get this done and you guys can pause where you need to. These are the rear suspension torque specifications for a Jeep WK2 Grand Cherokee. Hopefully I'm not shaking too much, and I'm just going to hold it there for a couple more seconds, and if you need to you can pause it, but that's all your specifications for your torque. Okay, back to work. Alright, and we're back. This is the passenger side. It's mostly all back together. Pretty much, you know, rinse and repeat of the driver's side. But I'm trying to get in here where you can maybe see this upper camber link here. So this one, on this side, both of my eccentric bolts, my alignment bolts, had to be cut out because they were seized in. And I think I tweaked the bracket a good bit on this side, because everything else tightened up, torqued up to spec and everything like that, except this one. This one won't tighten in. I just got done taking the cam bolt out, and it looks like there's just way too much play in there. I think when I was beating around with the Sawzall trying to cut that out, it tweaked the mount and opened it up a little bit. Oh, I'm gonna take a break, get some food, think about it. I should be able, it's fairly thin steel, I should be able to just kind of give it a few of the ugga-duggas to squeeze it in a little bit. Do not use the eccentric bolt to do that. Find a standard bolt and don't mess up, or try not to mess up your ears. I can't get a picture of it. Can I? Maybe. Try not to mess up your ears where your eccentric bolt rolls through, as you need those to be in pretty good alignment, alignment might not be the right phrasing, but you need those to not be warped and twisted. That way the cam can do its job. The eccentric cam can actually do its job. So, yep, nothing ever goes 100% smooth and easy. There's just something to be mindful of and watch out for, and I'll think about it and play around with it and see what I can do to compress it. Like I said, it's just the other side. I didn't have to cut this one out, only the toe link, and it did not have play like that. It was a much snugger fit. So I'm thinking it just twisted with the reciprocating saw beating the crap out of everything in there. So back up, regroup, and once I fix it, I'll let you know. Okay, we had some food, we did a think. I moved this, I'm under the car. Sorry, I'm trying my best to keep focus. I'm upside down and backwards. So I took this out, took the alignment bolt out. I just used a 3/8 bolt with some large diameter washers. So, and just tightened it up by hand. I used two 9/16 wrenches. I didn't put any ugga-duggas into it. Just tighten it up by hand until this would fit and not rock back and forth anymore. Then I started looking at the bolt and I compared it. This is the new one. According to everything I can find, the alignment bolts in the rear are all four of them are the same. If you look
and try to do this. You can see where the nut starts here. This is, I measured it out. This is true depth. The nut starts here. This is hollow. If you can see there, it'll stop right about there. That's where that's where the threads are gonna contact the oblong on the alignment bolt. On this one, it's a weird pentagon, but that's where it's gonna contact. So we're off a good bit. And I broke out, sorry about shaky, I broke out the old nuts. And again, you can see these are actually identical to the brand new ones. I measured them, I compared them, everything. And it's just this bolt, the shank here, like these threads need to come down another like 1/16 of an inch or so. And I don't think that's an issue in this bracket. I think that's an issue with the manufacturing. I think they needed to machine the threads a little bit deeper. So now, I don't know what I'm going to do. I think what I'm going to do, I have a couple of the eccentric washers from the old stuff left over. I think I might just put an additional eccentric washer on it. Or I could always just get a small diameter grade 8 washer and put on there and call it. But that's really bothersome. You know, upsetting. I don't know what the right terminology for it is. That's just kind of disappointing, I guess. You shouldn't have to do stuff like that for these sorts of things. They should just be pretty spot on. And I don't know. I'm not gonna take apart the ones that I've already used and compare and try to see if maybe it's just a mismanufacturing or something along those lines. I'm just gonna washer it up and call it a day. So let me get the washer in and we'll see what we got. Okay, so I ended up having to use 2 of the eccentric cam bolt or washers on here. I started out, I just put one grade 8 12 mil washer in there in between the nut and the actual functioning cam, and it did snug down better. But when it was all said and done, I could still put my wrench on here and I could swivel the bolt, and it was beyond torque spec tight. So I took it back apart and I put this one on there. This washer is about, I don't want to say a full twice as thick, but it was significantly thicker than the just the standard bolt washer that I was using. And this time it tightened up nicely. Everything's snug, nothing's moving. I don't have any side-to-side play anymore other than what the bushing provides. I don't have any up and down movement, and everything's good to go. So now I can continue on with the job. That was a little weird though. I seem to always get weird ass shit like that, but that was a little weird. I don't think out of all the years that I worked fleet and did alignments on stuff, I mean, sure, we had to shim things and do stuff like that, but I don't think I ever had to like double washer an alignment cam bolt. That's kind of crazy. So, but you know what? If that's the only crazy thing, then that's fine. We'll deal with it. Okay, and we're done, and we're back on the ground. Like I say, other than a couple of bolts that had to be cut out, the general stupidity of the way the front positioned lower control arm bolts are, and then that one weird alignment bolt that just I had to use the extra washer on. That was just weird. It's what it is. It worked. It tightened up. Everything's good. Got the alignment. You know, I marked everything before I took it apart, so it is fairly close. It's what it's going to be. Now remember, I put. I'm gonna go over and get them. Hold on. Okay, we're back. So I'm gonna flip the camera around. Try to hold the camera properly, and then I'm going to flip the camera around. So these were what's listed, this Moog number, K160059. These are listed as the spring isolators for the rear on a 2011 WK2. These are not. They just aren't. So I ordered 4 of them originally,
because I was going to double stack them like that. Okay, and that's going to get my lift, because I just wanted a small, just a little bit of lift. I just wanted a touch of lift on it. And remember, for the front, which I haven't done yet, I've got these 1/4 inch thick pieces. I'm going to try to do this one-handed. These measure out to roughly, what's that? Just shy of 1/2 inch thick. Like 5/16. Okay, I think earlier I said they were 5/8, and I don't know where I got that from. I'll double check this just to be. Sorry. Trying to work one-handed, it's not happening. There we go. There we go. Let's get this circus in gear here, folks. What do we got there? 3/8, 7/16, 3/8, 7/16, something like that. Okay. So this is what I used in the rear. I put it between the top of the actual spring isolator, which was still in good shape, and the body. That's just where, you know, I mean, you've done budget boosts. That's where it is. These things on Rock Auto were like $6 or $8 a piece. Okay, they were less than $10 each. The KYB shocks that I got are, looking in my trash box. Part number 5550014. And when I measured the shaft length on them, fully extended, the shaft length was about 1 inch longer than the OEM ones that I took off of the Jeep. I have a picture of it. I'm going to try to upload it. I don't know that I'll be able to. And I'm going to try to do this one-handed and see how far I get. Okay. Yep. Smack the camera with tape measure. Oh, hold on. We need a little bit more tape measure. Okay. Now I double checked tire pressure. Made sure that everything is what it is. And the current static ride height, this is where I measured before too, is just that wheel arch right there in that wheel arch. That's about center. Just shy of 36.5. So almost 2 inches of lift for around, let's say $16. And then I made the front spacers. Since they sit on top of the struts, you don't actually have to worry about strut travel length. Hold on a second. Camera flipped. Yeah, so since those sit on top of the strut plate, you don't have to worry about strut travel because strut travel stays the same. So I'm hoping to get, you know, 1 inch. I wasn't expecting that. Everything that I had read based on the mass-produced spacers, it's pretty much a 2-to-1. So you put in 1/2 inch, you get 1 inch. You put in 1 inch, you get 2 inches. That sort of thing. This is like 3/8 of an inch, and it got me. And I mean, the parts and pieces I took out of here weren't so worn out that, I mean, some of them were coming apart, yes, but nothing had like a totally collapsed bushing or a completely collapsed ball joint or a bent arm or anything like that. Okay, so you know, to get almost 2 inches, to get 1 3/4 inches, that's pretty good. I can live with that. That's pretty awesome. So yeah, now it's time to clean up, and we'll start the front tomorrow. So everybody get out, have fun, have a good day, and I'll leave the part numbers in the description. And that way, if you're just looking for a little bit, or if you're on a budget and you're doing something like this, I'm sorry to say, this is a really good way to do it. You know, and what I did, okay, and let me show you on these before we go, because I didn't show it on the springs. Let me show you what I did with these. I'm gonna flip the camera around again. Okay, so you can see how these are conical. They taper. See? Okay, and what I did was I cut, I don't know if it's coming in on the camera. Focus, please, camera. There we go. You see right here where my thumb is, it's kind of, it kind of tapers twice. Okay, what I did was I cut along that line with a razor knife, and then I took this cup, so this gave me a lip, which set into the OEM spring isolator. But this opening right here is a bit big on the body. You can wiggle wobble like that. So I took this cup after I cut it, and it'll sit inside of this and actually kind of hold itself with that ridge line. And when you put it up against the body, it takes up the gap. It's just thick enough to take up the gap at the nub on the chassis. So it doesn't shift. It holds itself into the spring isolator, and it holds itself onto the chassis mount, which is really good. I mean, that's a positive thing. You want that kind of stuff. So anyway, get out, have fun, have a nice day, and go do something you like to do. Hopefully this helps somebody. Later.